Rhea Ripley suffers broken nose on WWE. The Eradicator just proved once again why she is one of the toughest human beings to ever step foot in a WWE ring. But this time the cost was brutal, bloody, and absolutely gut-wrenching to watch. Rhea Ripley's nose got absolutely shattered during a match. And what happened next will remind you exactly why this woman is built differently than everyone else on the roster. Do yourself a favor right now, hit that subscribe button and ring the notifications bell, because WWE Extreme brings you the hardest-hitting, most intense wrestling content on YouTube, and you definitely do not want to miss what is coming next. Let me paint the picture for you. Professional wrestling is violent. We all know this. But there is a massive difference between the planned, choreographed violence that tells a story and the very real, very painful injuries that happen when things go wrong or when someone takes a shot that lands just a little bit harder than intended. What happened to Rhea Ripley falls into that second category, and the way she handled it is the stuff of absolute legend. During a recent match, Rhea took a strike that connected with her face in the worst possible way. Now, we have all seen wrestlers take shots to the face before. It is part of the business, part of what makes WWE so visceral and exciting. But this was different. This was not just getting your bell rung or seeing stars for a few seconds. This was the kind of impact that immediately changes the entire complexion of a match. The kind that makes everyone watching, from the fans in the arena to the people watching at Hamigo, completely silent for a moment because they know something serious just happened. The sound alone was sickening. If you were there live or had your volume up while watching, you heard it. That crack that makes your own face hurt just from listening. And then came the blood. Rhea's nose started gushing immediately, and anyone with even basic knowledge of injuries could tell this was not just a bloody nose from a simple shot. This was structural damage. This was broken bones and the kind of pain that would have most people crying for a timeout and immediate medical attention. But here is where Rhea Ripley separates herself from 99% of the population. She did not stop. She did not call for the match to end. She did not panic or lose focus. The Eradicator looked at her opponent, wiped the blood from her face, and kept going like it was just another day at the office. That is not just toughness. That is borderline superhuman. That is the mentality of someone who has dedicated their entire life to being the absolute best at what they do and refuses to let something like a broken nose derail the performance. Think about that for a second. A broken nose. Most people would be on the ground, eyes watering, unable to breathe properly, completely overwhelmed by the pain. Professional athletes in other sports would immediately signal for a substitution or medical timeout. But not Rhea. Not the woman who has built her entire reputation on being tougher, meaner, and more resilient than anyone else in the women's division. She literally worked through a broken nose because that is what champions do. That is what legends are made of. Now, let us talk about what a broken nose actually means in the context of professional wrestling, because this is not just about pain tolerance. Your nose is right in the middle of your face, which means it affects everything. Breathing becomes difficult. Vision can be impaired because your eyes water involuntarily. Every single bump you take sends shockwaves of pain through your entire skull. And if you take another shot to the same area, forget about it. The pain multiplies exponentially. So for Rhea to continue wrestling with a freshly broken nose is not just impressive, it is borderline insane in the best possible way. The wrestling community has been buzzing about this incident nonstop, and for good reason. Social media exploded with fans praising Rhea's toughness and questioning how she even managed to finish the match. Fellow wrestlers, both current and retired, have been weighing in with respect and admiration for her ability to push through such a serious injury. Because here's the thing, they know. They understand exactly how much pain she was in and how difficult it is to stay focused and execute moves safely when your body is screaming at you to stop. But this is not even the first time Rhea has demonstrated this level of toughness. This woman has a track record of working through injuries, of performing an elite level even when her body is breaking down, of being the person who leads by example in the locker room. She has worked through shoulder issues. She has battled through various bumps and bruises that would sideline lesser competitors. And every single time, she comes back stronger and more determined than before. What makes this broken nose incident particularly significant is the timing. We are heading into one of the most important periods on the WWE calendar, with major storylines unfolding and WrestleMania season on the horizon. Rhea is positioned at the top of the women's division, involved in feuds that matter and matches that people are paying good money to see. The fact that she refused to let this injury derail her momentum speaks volumes about her dedication to the craft and her understanding of the business. Let us also acknowledge the risk involved here. Continuing to wrestle with a broken nose is not just about being tough. It is genuinely dangerous. One wrong shot, and you're looking at even more severe damage. You could end up with a deviated septum that requires surgery, complications that affect your breathing long-term, or cosmetic damage that is much harder to fix. Rhea knew all of this and made the decision to keep going anyway. That is either incredibly brave or absolutely crazy, and honestly, it is probably a bit of both. The medical staff backstage must have been losing their minds watching this unfold. WWE has come a long way in terms of prioritizing performer health and safety, but there is only so much they can do when a superstar decides they are finishing their match no matter what. As soon as Rhea got backstage, you can bet she was immediately swarmed by doctors assessing the damage and figuring out the next steps for treatment and recovery. Recovery from a broken nose typically takes a few weeks, and depending on the severity, surgery might be required to properly reset the bones and ensure everything heals correctly. The big question now is how this affects Rhea's schedule moving forward. Will WWE give her time off to heal properly, or will she be back in the ring before the doctors even finish their recommendations? Knowing Rhea's track record and her mentality, do not be surprised if she is back sooner than anyone expects, possibly even performing with protective gear to minimize the risk of re-injury. This incident also raises larger questions about the physical toll of professional wrestling and the culture of toughness that permeates the industry. The visual alone is going to be iconic. Rhea Ripley, face covered in blood, nose clearly broken, still throwing strikes and executing moves with precision while the crowd goes absolutely ballistic. That image captures everything that makes professional wrestling compelling. The drama, the violence, the human element of pushing beyond your limits. It is raw, it is real, and it is unforgettable. Thanks for watching WWE Extreme, and we will catch you in the next one.